Session at 7:37.
Here, is these all first reading?
Yeah,
Okay.
I got it right now. Okay, so,
I do want to have talk, well, when we
okay,
come
get there, okay. Okay, everybody back, we're waiting on Dr. Okay,
We're here.
so 60, you want to talk about bond now? Yeah. The bond. Okay, we're going to go to 6.2, potential 2016 bond discussion. Dr. Montoya?
Members of the board, at next Tuesday's special board meeting, we will be sharing very specific information with the board with the options and possible costs and some of the needs that were put together by literally the three community meetings, and the fourth meeting, of course, was with students. And then lastly, we also opened it up to, right before the Christmas holiday, on our website to get input from anybody in the community as far as needs at a campus or a school or a facility or building. So we've probably used about 6 or 7 different mechanisms to receive input. We've also been meeting with several of the mayors. As you all are well aware, Judson being a unique district, we feed off of 7 school districts and a Air Force base. So we've actually had some meetings with some of those entities to get input. But the bottom line, members of the board, is that we're going to be very specific. We'll share some information with you next Tuesday and go from there. And obviously, as per policy and procedure, we asked that the board, in the regular board meeting in February, once they have the information ahead of time and are able to digest it and look at it and all of that, we'll put it on the agenda as an action item in February at the regular board meeting to ask the board if you'd like us to proceed with the bond. So basically, that's just a very quick overview. I don't know, Mr. Fields, if you have anything else you want to add.
Only, sir, that we were really excited that the bond oversight, or not the oversight committee, but the bond advisory committee overwhelmingly supported the increased gains in infrastructure and modernization throughout the district. And and they're prepared to come in and even brief you guys on what their concerns are. So we're looking forward to that next Tuesday.
Okay, thank you. Okay, 6B, discuss providing transportation for students enrolled in school district magnet programs. Mr. Salinas.
We need a motion?
No, this is
No, it's just discussion,
okay.
it's just discussion.
Thank you, sir. I had asked Dr. Montoya and see if we could if he could get his administration to give us a little update as to what it would cost to bring in buses to bus students that would like to attend different high schools. If they belong to Wagner, maybe they want to go to the new high school because there's a program there. And basically, that's what it is. So different schools are going to be providing different programs. For example, the new high school is going to have cosmetology, and I think that's going to be very, very popular, not only from Judson High School, but Wagner High School. And I think it would be best. I've heard from some parents say, yeah, but we can't take them to school every day. I think it's time that we provide transportation, and they have, if you look at the information that they provided, it tells you there approximately how much it's going to cost. As far as the buses, I think they're already saying, well, we're going to be buying some new buses, and we'll be able to use 3 to 5 buses if they're needed, depending on the request of students. That's why I had requested that. If the administration feels this is the route that we want to take, then I told Dr. Montoya I gave this early so they can start planning on it on the new 16-17 school year budget when we start working on it February through June. Thank you very much, and thank you, Ms. Lafreniere, for providing all that information.
Anyone else?
And again, very quickly, a general comment. We do want to explore, and I think we can do it, to have bus services to allow our kids, if they have a career pathway at another school that normally they wouldn't go to, that we can provide transportation. So we will be coming to the board very soon with an actual action item, and it is something that we need to do.
Mr. LaFoil?
Some of you older board members will remember we did this. When I first was on the board, we were doing it when they opened Wagner High School. We're transporting between Wagner and Judson. And I think this is a very positive thing for the kids. Because some of these children, if they didn't have this bus service, they wouldn't be able to do this. Because the parents can't afford to drive them. Most of them are working. So I think this is very positive.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, let's go to 6C, discuss the Spirit Award in honor of Mr. Giles Babb. Mr. Shaw?
Thank you, sir. I asked for this to be on the agenda because Mr. Babb was an alumnus of this school district. He was an avid supporter of Judson School, even though he didn't live in the district any longer, but he supported everything Judson. When he passed and his family called me, what they did was they gave me so many items that belonged to Giles, and I don't know what to do with them. But I'm hoping that there may be a place in our district where we can display the things that I've been given. There are some things that I think I'm going to keep that he has my dad's name on, so I think I'll keep. But the rest of the things belong to the district, actually. But the reason that I asked for this was because of his devotion to this district. And so I thought that we should have I see it's called the Spirit of Judson Award is something that they want to call this, the Spirit of Judson, in honor of Mr. Babb. And I thought that whenever the criteria is set, that maybe it would be an honor that would be bestowed at one of the JEF galas in the future. But the first time that the award is given, I think it should be given to Giles's family first. And then later on, the principals of each high school can get together on the criteria, whatever is established. But I just thought that he was deserving. That's why I asked. Thank you.
Mr. LaFoil?
Charles Babbs was the historian of Judson.
You got a lot of shit.
I used to make the football games when the Hey Hey Man was there, her dad. And I remember all the Hey Heys he did, but I couldn't recall his voice at the time. I called up Charles, I said, "You don't have a copy of that, do you?" He said, "Let me play it for you." I'm a tough nut to crack, and I cried. Because I really loved the Hey Hey Man. And Charles had that. He had everything about our district. And I'm glad that you got it all. Now you can pass it on. And so I'm for this.
Mr. Flores?
Thank you. Like they both said, Giles was the historian of everything that is Judson. And not just football, he supported everything that was Judson. Of course, football was a big deal for him, and he never missed a game, home and away. And there's a lot of people like that in the district, But Giles would come here to these meetings, and he would give us the information, and he was he was really a good guy. And if you have all this stuff, if there's some way, people that need to see this, or if it could be like a rolling museum in a small, like we have the Spirit Wagon or something at the stadium, we could put it something like that and take it to the elementary schools and let those kids see what the history is all about, what Judson's all about. When you get to the high school, you know what it's about, more or less. But it's those younger kids that really are separated from, now that the district has gotten to a point where we have 3 regular high schools, and so we just have to, educate everybody. That's all part of it too. That can be this, and that's what I think would be a way to do it. Thank you.
Mr. Shaw?
One last thing, I like the list of possible honors, 1, 2, and 3, but not number 4. I don't think number 4 is necessary. There's a school named after William Fischel already. He's gotten recognition. I want this to be all about Mr. Babb.
Dr. Montoya?
Members of the board, I think, again, this is an excellent award. And again, I did not know the gentleman, but I have heard many, many good things, that he supported students and schools and our activities and this type of thing. So I think where we can go with this, Ms. Pichelle and members of the board, is that the very first one we can be given to Mr. Babb, and then we set criteria and develop it from there. So I think that piece we can move forward on. The other piece, which I think Mr. Flores, you had an excellent idea. We are going to develop in probably this building, because there's more people that come in and out of this building, an area to display stuff. But on top of that, we can have almost like traveling suitcase memorabilia, and then we can put information on those items so that we can float it around, especially elementaries, and say, this was this item, this is what it's about, this is where it came from. So that's an excellent idea. We will develop that.
Anyone else? Thank you. Okay, let's move on. Got to read the 6D, update to local IEA, local academic achievement grading process reports to parents. First read. 6E, update to EIC, local academic achievement class ranking, first reading. 6F, policy update 103, affecting local policies, first reading. 1BF, local board policies. 2 CAA, local physical management goals and objectives, financial ethics. 3 CB, local state and federal revenue sources. 4 CKE, local safety program, risk management, security personnel. 5 CO, local food service management. 6 DBD, local employment requirements for restrictions, conflict of interest. 7 DH, local employee standards of conflict. 8 DIA, local employee welfare, freedom of discrimination, harassment, retaliation. 9 FEA, local attendance, compulsory attendance. 10 FEC, local attendance, attendance for credits. 11 GKA, local community relations, conduct on school premises. 12 GRA, local relations with government agencies, state and local government authorities. Okay. Those first reads. Okay, G, update on statement of impact.
Mr. Salyer,
Yeah. Oh, what?
can we go back to the first one?
Which one?
D, update to EIA.
Okay,
local
sure.
Academic achievement grading progress
Yep,
reports.
go ahead.
To parents and first reading.
Uh-huh.
I believe that's a recommendation going from 6 weeks to 9 weeks. Is that
Yeah.
correct, sir?
That's correct.
Okay, so that's
Yes.
good. Thank you.
Okay, those are all first reads. Okay, G, update on statement impact amendments. 198.
198.
That's my 198. Go ahead. Oh, you're going to talk on the next one? Okay. Yeah, okay.
Let me just very quickly on the impact statement, G. Basically, what happens from TEA is anytime a charter school opens that's going to have any kind of impact on a school district, they mail a standard form out to any district impacted, and they want our comments. Is this a good thing for that private charter school to open? Is it going to have an impact, yes or no, and what might it be? And once we fill it in and sign it, then that automatically goes to TEA, and they react from there. most of the time, have to be honest, they're gonna approve the charter school or give it an opportunity. That's the way it is, no matter what the impact is. But this is almost a formality that we get, every school district, that it's gonna be impacted by this particular basis, BASIS, San Antonio Charter School. It's just, that's all it is.
Okay, H, School Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas, presentation first.
Again, this is something that, Mr. Elizondo, if you'd like to step up and say a few things. This is the system that agency, TEA, uses to look at our financial and other operations in a district, and we have to score at a certain level by law or issues occur. But I guess, Mr. Elizondo, if you want to go ahead and do the presentation.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. Montoya. I'm going to be really brief on this because it probably will take me 20 minutes to do or 30, but I'm going to try to go quickly through it. I will be posting this presentation on our website under the Business Services Department. So I handed the board members a copy of the PowerPoint, but anybody in the public who would like to see it, it will be on our website. So when you have time, you can look at it if you're interested. As Dr. Montoya mentioned, this is a rating system that was implemented for the state of Texas for the school districts to give the community an opportunity to look at some of the financials of the school district and also to reassure them that the school districts are doing well financially. And if they're not, it will also tell you that in this rating system. At the bottom of this report, it says that it's for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2014, and that's because the state is always a year and a half to 2 years behind because it takes that long to get all the financial data to them and have them analyze it. So it is not a typo, it is correct. Again, basically, this was implemented in 2001, and it's the goal of this particular rating system just to make sure, again, it's to check the financial health of all the school districts. And we are to share this as requirement with our community in a public meeting so that they're aware of what the district health of the school district is. We're required to this. Prior to this year, there were different ratings that districts could achieve, being all the way from superior achievement, which is the highest, to substandard achievement. For this year, they're going to transition. They're changing some of the criteria that they're using. They used to have 21 areas of criteria before. Now they've narrowed it down to 7 areas. So this year, our school district earned the rating of pass, which is the highest rating that you can get for this year. And if we didn't receive that, you received a substandard achievement, which basically this year was a pass or fail. There are 30 maximum points that you can get in this rating, and we did achieve all maximum points. And so this is just saying that we received the pass. Again, there are 7 criteria. They're using the data from 2013-14 fiscal year. I'm not going to read everything that's on here, but again, the first item on there is that they're just looking to see if we submitted our financial report in time to the agency, to TEA, so that to make sure the board approved it in time and it was submitted in time. So yes, we did. We did it this year on time, and we did it last year on time. Item number 2 just asked, when the auditors went through our financial report and they issued the opinion about our financials, did they give us a clean report with an unqualified opinion saying that an unqualified opinion is the best opinion you can receive, saying that everything presents fairly in the report? And that's exactly what the district received. We received an unqualified opinion, and they're calling it unmodified here. We did receive that this year, last year, and truthfully, at least for the past 20 years, we received an unqualified opinion for the school district. Number 3 pretty much asks, have we paid all our debt? Have we, to make sure that we haven't been delinquent in paying any of our debt? Basically, they're looking at our bonds to make sure that all our bonds are paid on time. And we can tell you that, yes, all of the bonds for the school district have always been paid on time. Same, no different for this past year or the year or any years prior. And just so that y'all know, as of June 30th, 2014, we had about $445 million in outstanding bond debt for the school district. Again, this will be on the website if you want to look at it a little bit slower. Item number 4 asks really about our fund balance, and this is really on the statement of net assets for anybody in the accountants in the room. It's a little different statement that is presented in our financial reports, and basically, again, it just wants to make sure that we do have fund balance. We do have some kind of a savings, if you will, in case we get into a bad situation. And yes, we definitely do have a very strong fund balance in our school district. It was about approximately, in this report, about $38.2 million. Number 5, just ask about our administrative cost ratio. Again, they're just measuring to see how much we're spending, every school district spending on administrative costs to make sure that we're not spending too much in the central office areas. And they give you a range of 8.55 to 18.55 for a school district our size, and we're way below that range. We're at 5.76, so we haven't even entered into that range, which means that we're not spending anywhere near the money that some other districts are spending for administrative costs. Number 6, ask about our PEMS data. As you all know, we have to submit PEMS data to the agency every year, and that tells them a little bit about our school district enrollment, what kind of kiddos we're serving, how well they're doing, our teacher-to-student ratios, all kind of information like that. And of course, they want to make sure that it's, when they compare that to our annual report that the auditors provide, to make sure the data we're submitting to the agency matches that report. And in our instance, yes, it did match. We had a variance of less than 0%. There may be a little bit of rounding numbers, dollars here and there, but overall, it was pretty much on target. And so that was good for us. Number 7, ask about, to make sure that the financial report didn't disclose any kind of material weakness. And so when the auditors review our operations, our procedures, they want to make sure that we're doing things correctly and that there is no weakness in our processes where somebody could do something inappropriately and we wouldn't be able to find it. So all the things that they tested, they did not disclose anything or find anything that was any kind of material weakness. So that was what we were looking for. Those are the 7 criteria that they're looking at for this year. There are some other requirements, and this screen just pretty much tells you that since the inception of this particular rating system, we've always earned the highest rating that they've allowed, except for 1 year in 2009. And during that year, it was our student completion rate that did not meet the highest level. So so we did not receive the superior achievement rating. We received the above standard achievement. That particular criteria is no longer included in the criteria for the rating anymore. And again, they modify this every few years, so it's not in there anymore. Financial strength, the district has enjoyed, for many, many years that we have had a very good fund balance. We average over the past 5 years about 27.77% of our expenditures, which is a little more than 3 months worth of operating. And so that's a very safe place to be in case something happens with your cash coming in. We have enough money to pay any debts or our operating expenses. Tax collections for our school district gives you a little table with a 5-year history. We always budget on 98% when we adopt our budgets. If you look at the far last column, which is total tax collections, which includes our delinquent collections, you'll see we're at above 100%. So what that does for us when we're budgeting at 98%, but we're collecting 100%, is that we're actually getting a windfall at the end that we're being able to add to our fund balance. So that's why our fund balance is being able to be maintained at a healthy level. Operating cost management, again, this is just kind of talking a little bit about fund balance from year to year, how much it's changing, and what percentage of our expenditures our fund balance represents. Again, for that year, 6/30/2014, we were at about 31.88% of our expenditures in fund balance. Again, that just says that we have funds to operate the school district and we don't have to borrow money. The administrative cost ratio, again, repeating what was a little bit one of those criteria, that our ratio was at 5.76 for that year, and the range is 8.55 to 18.55. Beginning with calendar year 2007, the agency required that we have additional disclosures for our community to share at our community meeting, and I'm going to go through those real quickly here. One of them is that we're to make available the superintendent's contract. So I do have copies. If anybody would like a copy of the superintendent's contract, you're welcome to come up after the meeting, and I'll be happy to provide one for you. One of the other things we're to share with the community is how much money our superintendents and each one of our board members are spending out of our budget for travel expenses. And so this kind of gives you a detail, and some of these are mixed a little bit because, as you all know, we changed superintendents during this past year. And some of the board members, as you go through and look at the titles, some of them you'll say, well, we've had 2 or 3 different board members in that particular district that year in 2015. So this kind of gives you a little bit of a breakdown. I know I'm going through this quickly, but again, it will be on the website, so you're welcome to go back and look at it whenever you like. And the one I was referring to mostly is District 7, where we had 3 board members during that time. Also, one of the things that we're supposed to report to the community is if our superintendent is has another job or doing contract work with anybody else besides the school district. During that particular year, our superintendent, Dr. Mackey at the time, also worked he was a professor at Texas Lutheran University, and he provided that he earned $2,600 with them for those services that he provided to TLU. There are strict requirements about reporting if any of our board members or officers receive gifts from anybody. in aggregate of $250 or more in a fiscal year. And we had no reports from any board members or officers saying that they received gifts from anybody that met or exceeded that amount. Business transactions between school board and the district, again, and on occasion, we'll have a school board member who also owns a business in the district or who does business with the district. So we are supposed to report that to you as well. We do not have any current school board members or in that year that transacted any business with the school district from a personally owned company. And one of the things that the state was getting criticized for was because some school districts were getting into trouble. They were losing, having to go bankrupt or getting very close to it. And some of this data that they're looking at is historical data. It's after the fact. So they implemented a few things now that we have to report to them every year at the very beginning of the year for the first quarter to kind of show or kind of as an indicator to them if they start seeing that, hey, the district is starting to have trouble, they'll know it in advance instead of waiting till they get a report later saying the district's already gone bankrupt or they're in the red now. And they call this circling the drain, if you will. We're just reporting to them, and again, it'll be on our website, kind of our expenditures for the first quarter of our fiscal year. And for us, it was $21 million and change. There are several questions that you have to answer, and one of them is, did you have to borrow money, any short-term money to operate the school district for between those months of September and December? And we did not have to do that. And for the prior year, did you have fund balance that was less than 2% of total expenditures? And as I mentioned earlier, no, we were at a 30-something% fund balance, so we were not even close to that. Has the district declared financial exigency over the past 2 years? And we have not had to do that, thank goodness, and hopefully we never will. How many superintendents has your district had in the last 5 years? We changed that number this year to 2, which is great. Before that number, well, I guess it was not last year, but a couple years ago, we had a little bit higher number there. How many business managers has your district had in the last 5 years? That's 1, that's me. And then if you're having any issues with the solvency of the school district, you have to answer this particular question. We did not have to provide a response to it because we didn't meet any of the criteria here where we're having any issues. And that's it for the presentation. And I know I went through it really quickly, so please, if you think of questions later, I'll be happy to answer them. If you have questions now that you could think of, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions, anyone? Nope. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jose.
You bet.
Okay, update on board advisory committees. Anyone? Let's go down. Mr. Salinas, nothing. Mr. Shaw? Mr. Flores?
Yes. The Internal Audit Committee met, and we had been brought 2 proposals, one from our current auditor, external auditor, and one from TASBO. As a committee, we are recommending that the administration move forward with the TASBO proposition, and the fact that they would set a baseline for our procedures in maintenance, transportation, and energy. Is that it? Yes. So that's going to be our recommendation and custodial, yes. Recommendation for the administration to move forward with that, and then let's see how fast they can get us on their schedule to go over everything.
What's the cost?
It was $25,000.
One of the questions that the committee had for me that I mentioned that I would get back for you was when could they start and how long would it take? And so Mr. Ashmore contacted the organization. They have a number of agreements right now, but they said they could start right after spring break, and it would take 6 weeks from the time they start to when they write the report and send it to us.
Yeah, so that's what we have on the from the internal audit.
Okay, sounds good. Any questions, comments? Less than 25,000, so the superintendent can approve it and move on, and we'll make it work. Anyone else? Mr. Foyle, Dr. Salinas, anyone? Okay, update on board training, conference events, consider future agenda items by board members. Mr. Salinas, anything?
Just that we attended the Evans
we went there.
Road construction, and I thought it was very, very good. I'm sorry that Senator Campbell couldn't be there, but the assistant was great. And she sent us an email afterwards, and all the people from the city of I was surprised how many people were there from the city of San Antonio, and of course, the mayor from Selma. It was great, great, great. Hopefully, we're gonna see some construction in the near future, according to them. Okay, thank you, sir. Other than that, that's it. No, right
Nothing.
now, no agenda.
Okay,
items. Thank
Ms.
you.
Bashaw?
No, sir.
Mr. Flores?
Well, I was scheduled to go to Washington this Saturday, but the conference has been postponed because of the weather. And I'm kind of grateful because they may move it to June. But that's for the advocacy where we meet with our congressmen and senators. And, TASB sends quite a delegation up there. So that was really a good thing, but I'm glad I'm not going. Also, there is one more thing, and the mayor of San Antonio gave us a proclamation to all the school boards, and then I'll read it. Whereas during the month of January 2016, school districts throughout the city of San Antonio celebrate School Board Recognition Month to recognize the dedication and hard work of school board trustee members. And whereas school board members are strong advocates for public education and are responsible for communicating the needs of the school districts to the public and the public's expectations to the district, and whereas to create the educational vision for the student, school board members work closely with parents, educational professionals, and other community leaders. And whereas the school board members are committed to the mission of public schools in meeting the diverse educational needs of all children and empowering them to become competent and productive contributors to society. Now therefore, I, Ivy R. Taylor, Mayor of the City of San Antonio, in recognition thereof, do hereby proclaim January 2016 to be School Board Recognition Month. I'll give that to you.
And Gilbert attended. Thank you.
Yes, yes. That's it.
Mr. LaFoyle, anything?
No.
Dr. Salinas?
I'll be at Midwinter Monday and Tuesday, so. I'll be there in Austin Monday and Tuesday.
Okay. Kind of like Mr. Salinas, Dr. Matoya, Mr. Fields, and myself, we met at Selma City Council room back in the back to discuss the Evans Road, which if you know where Evans Road is, you drove down it once, I don't have to explain it to you. If you live in Selma, I'm going to tell you, you got a great mayor and Mayor Pro Tem. I'm going to tell you right now, they are working hard with me and Dr. Matoya and everyone to try to fix this. We had Councilman Carpenter there himself. We had people from the county. We had people from the county, city, state. Mr. Fields has been working hard with the railroad. You know, we got some good ideas of the railroad. The bottom line, it costs money. Fortunately, in the bond, the new high school, we're going to fix the road in front of the high school. That's part of our bond. But we can't spend any money on any of the road or anything because it's not school property. So we have to depend on what's county and what's city. The good news is they're at Green Mountain Road and Evans Road. They're going to put a stoplight in, and it's probably going to be in by school starts, which is really going to help the flow of that traffic flying down Evans Road to safety of our kids. That's one big thing that came out of it. So I don't know, they're going to do some stuff, cut back some trees and try to fix some things. So the vision is better going around there. But, I live in Universal City. If I want to go to the mall or somewhere over there, what do? I cut down Evans Road by the Catholic Church, and everyone else does too. And you can see where Selma ends, city begins, and county begins. I mean, it's obvious, So, like I said, if you live in Selma, you got a good mayor and good mayor pro tem. They're working hard for the safety of our kids. And problem is, our hands we can talk and talk and talk, but we don't have a checkbook for this. So, Donna Campbell's a representative there. Call them. Part of the problem, half of it's in precinct 3, but on the other end, it's in precinct 4, the county commissioners. So we got to deal with precinct 3 and 4 county commissioners. So. We need your support on this. Call people, talk to people. The more pressure we put, maybe we'll get something done. We're talking maybe a 2017 bond for the city of San Antonio, but I don't know. It's kind of in their ballpark, so thanks. Anybody else? Okay, we're going to go into closed session for personnel. The board will now adjourn to closed session pursuant to following section of the Texas Open Meeting Act, 551.074, discussing personnel. No final action, discussion, or vote shall be taken while the board is in closed session. The board shall reconvene the open meeting after the closed session, and if necessary, any vote will be made. You're raising your finger.
There was one more thing, I'm sorry. We have grassroots on February the 4th at Region 20, so want all board members to go to that.
Okay. We're going to close session at 9:13?